We're doing the board. I welcome the non-executive directors of Australia Post, most of whom, in fact all of them now, will be appearing via video conference. The entire board are now appearing not in person. And while we've facilitated it, it was not the preference of the committee.
I understand that, Chair.
Is the chairman there? Well, what an absolute shambles this is. I must say this is why we actually asked the Australia Post Board to be here in person.
There may well be IT issues at our end.
Can we have the chairman? Can we hear the chairman yet? No, we can't.
It wasn't the smoothest start to the promised spectacle of the entire Australia Post Board being hauled before the Senate today.
Seriously?
Robbed of some of its theatre by the late withdrawal of the only member who had planned to come in person.
We've had one of our witnesses, Mr Tony Nutt, who is a non-executive director at Australia Post. He is unwell and so won't be appearing today.
The drama of the appearance of Australia Post's former CEO, Christine Holgate, before the same inquiry 2 weeks ago, meant today's evidence from the Australia Post Board was expected to focus on her treatment. But, as with most things that happen in Parliament House, there has been a heavy dose of partisan politics involved in the Holgate story, and much of today's hearing involved those political tactics rebounding on Labor for two separate reasons. The first was the repeated reminders that the whole Cartier Watches saga and Holgate's subsequent demise had been triggered by a question from an opposition senator.
Kicked off by the activities here in the Parliament, by the Prime Minister demanding that she go.
Well, not so much the Prime Minister as Senator Kitching's questions.
The second reason today's hearing was dominated by a rebound on Labor was because of evidence about a shadowy review by the Boston Consulting Group, which has bubbled away beneath the Holgate controversy. The suggestion has been that the review, which has never been made public, was commissioned to begin the process of privatising part or all of Australia Post, something about which Holgate herself has expressed concern. There have been suggestions this agenda may have been the real reason she lost her job.
The majority of the findings I did not agree with, and I believe that if those findings had ever been rolled out, thousands and thousands of jobs would have gone, services would have been cut.
But board members were absolutely insistent today that the Boston report, despite costing taxpayers $1.32 million, did not contain any recommendations, only options, which included privatisation, which had little status.
For those who had been on the board for some time, the report was actually quite underwhelming. The reality is that the report told us nothing new. We know that letters are declining and we know that parcels are increasing.
Has a proposal been taken to the board to privatise either Australia Post in its entirety or the parcel business?
In the time that I've been chair of Australia Post, which was late November 2019, that subject of privatisation has never arisen.
If I may, Michael Donaldson, Deputy Chair, as one of my colleagues said before, don't have a snowflake and hell chance of getting up. So it's just a complete non-beater.
So, if there is a privatisation agenda, it is very subterranean indeed. But that still left the question of what exactly happened to the former CEO, particularly on that fateful day when the Cartier watch story erupted in October last year, and whether the board was acting at the direction of the Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, she can go.
It was clear to you that the instruction that you stand down was as a result of an instruction from the Minister and presumably therefore the Prime Minister.
Several days later, I got a letter from the Chair and it effectively said that. They were instructed to stand me down and I'd agreed to, but I hadn't agreed to.
Are you putting to this committee that the board's actions had no relationship with what the Prime Minister had said?
I am saying to the committee, Senator, that we would have met regardless.
The Australia Post Board was under fire over its treatment of Holgate from all sides today. One of the intriguing things about this inquiry is that the party political lines aren't quite as clear-cut as they might normally be.
No, thanks. I'm not asking you, Senator McKenzie.
National senators, for example, have been taking a tough line against any suggestion of privatisation and in defence of Christine Holgate.
So given the opportunity, how does the board feel about reinstating Ms Holgate?
As has Pauline Hanson.
Now, I don't know how you conduct your meetings. There is no signed document
It emerged that the board had not taken any legal advice about standing Holgate down before their meeting that fateful afternoon, and were today unable to give senators any evidence the CEO had agreed to go. Which brings us back to Tony Nutt, the long-serving political fixer in John Howard's office, who looked after party problems for the long-serving Prime Minister and also acted as Federal Director of the Liberal Party. The inquiry had already been told that it was Nutt, now a member of the Australia Post board, who, in the tumultuous hours that followed Prime Minister Scott Morrison getting up to apparently instruct Australia Post to stand Holgate down, who engaged in 14 phone conversations with the CEO as she was driven back to Sydney. As a result, he may hold the answer to a lot of the questions and conflicting evidence about just what happened that afternoon. The Senate committee has demanded that he, along with the Australia Post chair, appear before it next Monday.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 730's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.